Wisconsin, I know I'm steady on my
Raised in
way.
Wisco, I'm your host, Joel Clayfish, live from Venaros, España. That's Spain, for everyone else who doesn't know what España is. I aspire to know España. Danielle Fairman, my trusty sidekick, is in the studio, and covering duties for me on the side is Ellie Mae Smoller. What's going on, ladies?
Hello, man from the future. It's crazy to think that you're already at Wednesday and we're still in the past on Tuesday right now. But when everybody hear this, they're in the future on Saturday at 11 o'clock.
I'm going to use this opportunity to brush up on my Spanish.
Okay, well, be careful what you wish for, because I learned. I have to put some disclaimers out there. First of all, sound quality is probably not what you guys are used to listening to us on Raised in Wisco, but we love you joining us, because I am literally broadcasting from Spain, and technology allows us to do that, which is so exciting and awesome. But I also have to apologize because I have about 2 hours of sleep in me for the last 48 hours. I'm totally jet lagged. I've got my brand new European hunting hat on, which is a little Indiana Jones-ish and a little.
It is definitely.
It's very Indiana Jones-ish.
You're going to be in a cave later for sure.
We're going to say
I put it on and I thought, wow, I look like a garden gnome.
Now I want an Indiana Jones garden gnome.
Yes. We're ordering that tonight on Amazon.
Dr. Jones.
And Gnome Jones.
Dr. Gnomes. So I have to tell you, it is so insane going to another country to start a hunting expedition. And we're staying in Venaros, Spain. So we flew from the United States into Barcelona. But here there was a king ages ago, early on in Barcelona, who had a lisp. He spoke with a lisp. So he would say the word Barcelona, Barcelona. And in this entire region, I'm not even joking about this, everything that's got an S sound has a TH sound to it now. So it's gracias, Barcelona, and it's crazy. And the Spanish that I learned, the little Spanish that I know, and the little conversational Spanish I know, I learned in California. And I spoke it with many folks who were from Mexico. So it's kind of Mexican Spanish. And it is totally and completely different than regular Spanish. But I think Ellie Mae Smoller, who's filling in the co-host seat while Danielle runs the ship from back home, you speak Spanish, do you not?
Oh, not much anymore. I took 4 years of Spanish. I used to be able to pretty fluently speak it, but now I've not practiced it in years. I don't have a lot of people to practice with here in Wisconsin.
I feel like you two can practice right now.
Oh, this is very terrifying.
Do that. I can say cerveza. That's pretty much all I have.
Muy bien.
And you know what's crazy? Because I'm here with Jonathan. He's a good friend of mine.
Oh, he's a good guy.
First time. Yeah, Danielle, you know him very well. You've hunted with him out at his place. And he's a great guy. But this is his first time ever in Europe. And I think it is kind of like culture shock to him, because everything in Europe is very small, and Americans
very small.
Like
talk about food, portion sizes,
food.
Listen, let me just say, I think earlier tonight I got stuck in the bathroom. And I don't
in
know,
the doorway, or like
in the bathtub, or
I think I could not shimmy my way out of the bathroom. Everything is so tiny here. They have tiny waste baskets, tiny portions, tiny people. All the people are thin and fit.
You're basically a Polly Pocket Indiana Jones.
It's Polly Pocket world over here. But the people are very, very nice, or at least I think they are. But I think they got yelled
You
at.
can't tell what they're saying anyways.
They speak so fast. My most familiar thing that I say to people is demasiado por favor, which means slow down, please. Because and we're in an area, Venaros, if you're in the bigger cities, a lot more people speak English regularly. But if you get into the smaller cities, And Vinaros is a very historic city in all of Spain, and it's just absolutely beautiful. The church is built from the 13th and 12th century, and it's on
so
the
cool.
coast of Spain. You go down the Baltic Sea to get here. We took a train, and it was just so incredible. And the people are very kind, or at least I think they are. They could have a smile on their face and be saying, "This guy is such an a-hole," and I'd be like, "Thank you, gracias." Thank you for calling me an a-hole.
I feel like
and the-
Joel Clayfish, when you go on hunts out of states and everything, you always go to some historic place. Like, you make it not only a hunting trip, but you make it something to remember by going back into history and learning about the past and why it's there now. And I admire you for that, and I want to do that, but I'm not there yet. One day we'll get there.
One day,
but-
Danielle.
Hey, you are going to South Africa. Very
That is
soon.
so cool. I'm so jealous.
And that is such an incredibly historic part of the world, and so many of the tribes in South Africa and the kind people. You can immerse yourself in that culture there, and it's incredible. But I think this goes back to one of the tenets of Raised in Wisco. Raised in Wisco is not a show about just killing animals or harvesting, catching and killing and eating fish or animals. It's a show about culture. It's a show about Wisconsin and the wonderful things throughout the state and experiencing those things. To me, the experience of going somewhere to hunt is just as much about the culture of the area you're hunting and the people who live there and the food and the culinary aspects of it, as it is actually about the hunt and about killing an animal or killing, I brought my lederhosen with me on this trip. I really did. And I know
Gotta go well with the hat.
Lederhosen is not necessarily like a Spanish tradition, but it is a European tradition to hunt in lederhosen and a wool hat and have this respect for an animal. And you know what? Another bizarre thing is they don't really wear camouflage here.
They do not?
They do not wear camouflage because that is giving the hunter too much of an advantage
I could see that.
the potential animals that they're hunting. So they give out of respect. They want it to be a fair chase, fair game kind of thing. And they wear goofy hats like the one I bought. I actually bought two hats. A little later in the show, I'm going to wear one of the other hats.
Ooh, outfit
so that you
change.
can see it.
Perfect.
It's really, it really looks goofy on me. So you'll get to see how goofy it looks, but it's a very traditional golfer's hat. And
Joel, do you think that we should start bringing back that kind of mentality when we should not wear camouflage over here as much? Do you like that over there? Do you think it's a challenge over there or different? How do you feel about it?
I think that it's just, there are different ways to look at hunting, no matter where you're hunting. There are even different ways that people look at hunting throughout the United States. There are areas that it is against the law to bait, for example. There are, throughout the states, there are some areas that say you can't, shoot a duck before 9 a.m. Because it's too advantageous at that point because the ducks, don't have any chance to see you when they're flying in that early. So I think this is something that, in my personal belief, and this is the beauty of being a hunter and being a gatherer, you can fashion your beliefs around what you feel is right. And for me, in this area, I feel that yielding to what the culture of the place you're hunting is kind of the best way to do it. But I will say, in Europe and throughout many parts in Europe, they do the last meal for the animal, where they put they put some of what the animal forages in its mouth for photographs of that animal to pay respect to it, and then you put a sprig of it in your hat. In a hat just like the one I'm wearing, which looks a little Indiana Jones-ish. And you do that to honor the animal that you have harvested. And you also do that, I found out, because they don't brag about the hunt when you come back. You don't tell people what you killed. They see that sprig in your hat and know that you had a successful harvest, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is. When you go overseas to some place like that has that kind of tradition, do you think that those people look at you differently, the outfitters, like saying, oh, well, this is someone from America, so they're going to be hunting differently or have a different respect for the animal? Do you ever feel that out there? Because not going to lie, I kind of worried about going over to South Africa because I don't know how they view us Americans back here. Like, do they think that we brag, I guess you could say?
Or disrespectful?
Is it disrespectful posting pictures all over social media saying we harvested a awesome goose or specklebelly or anything like that?
Wow, that is a really awesome question, Danielle. I hadn't thought about it. And, you know, one of the cool things about Raised in Wisco, which, by the way, we love you having you along, and we love talking about these issues with you. Sometimes we get a little serious on the show, and a lot of times it's very light and very fun. But I think contemplating these kind of ethical and moral issues that affect hunters is really important. And I think you bring something up, Danielle, that's really important. And that is that people everywhere have preconceived notions, but then there are those who don't allow their preconceived notions to prejudge people.
Yep.
I will say that what we can do is have the most respect for the culture we're invading. And I don't mean invading literally. I mean the culture we're going to be a part of to hunt something. And it has been very different for me. It was different in Austria than it was in France, than it was in South Africa. And all we can do, the best way we can represent the United States and represent, harvesting is, number one, as I believe, utilize the animal you kill.
Absolutely.
Eat it, make food from it. And you know that there's nothing that I kill, even in foreign countries, that I am not eating. And then
food is your favorite dish.
Food's my favorite dish. And
Mine too.
Well, I think it is. Although I both of you end up a lot more fit after you eat as much food as I do. I don't know. I think maybe my age is just showing. It just seems to find my waistline a lot easier.
Oh, jeez.
I honestly think that it's up to us as Americans who travel other places to make sure we are respectful of the culture we're participating in. And I think it comes back to us, and we have this chance for other cultures to say these Americans coming here hunting and participating with us is a really good thing. I cannot wait to tell you about tonight's recipe. It's unbelievable. It has to do with sika deer. We're going to move our Wisco week, daily Wisco, into the next segment, and it's going to be great. I'm in Spain, Danielle's in the studio, Lawton-Smoller's in the studio. This is Raised in Wisco, Spain edition. How'd that go, Jess?
Well, aside from you go.
I remember that summer the green van died. The rodeo show 'neath the Idaho pines. We drove through the night, barely made it right on time.
Welcome back to Raised in Wisco, Spain edition. Spain edition meaning Joel Clayfish is in the future. He is the future man right now. He is at 2 o'clock in the morning in Spain with us on Raised in Wisco. Thank you, everyone, for joining. So we ended the conversation talking about the ethics of hunters, especially overseas. And as Joel was saying, that it's pretty great to represent yourself not only in the States, but out of states too. But not that I'm aware, because I don't hunt overseas, but I don't think anybody has a bad conception of us Americans, because we do respect our animals. We just respect them by not putting a sprig of what their last meal was. But I actually kind of like that tradition. Do you think you would bring that back here on your next hunt, Joel?
I have to tell you what's absolutely crazy is I had a hunt in Texas last week, and we'll get to that too, because I took my son-in-law, Gabe, my brand new son-in-law, hunting his first big game animal of his life last week in Texas. And actually my wife said, you should put, the last bite in the mouth of the animals that you harvest and start, doing that in the United States. Because when people ask you why you do that, it's a really cool thing. We were talking about in Europe, in many countries in Europe, when you harvest an animal, you put a sprig of what they eat in their mouth as an homage to them, their last bite, their last meal. And then you put a sprig of it in your hat. And that brings me to the fact that I'm wearing what I consider kind of a goofy hat right now. It's a European hunting hat.
We
it's like
consider
an
it
old
goofy
school,
too.
Thank you, Ellie. I appreciate that. It's a European hunting hat. I went to a European hunting store today, and I'm just so happy that I can do these experiences and share them on Raised in Wisco with all the folks who come up to me. And I want to say thank you to everybody who listens to Raised in Wisco every Saturday at 11 o'clock on all your Civic media stations throughout Wisconsin. I am starting to have people come up to me in the public and say, I listened to Raised in Wisco. It was so funny. I have to be honest, and Danielle, 90% of the time it's, oh my gosh, Danielle is so funny. And I don't know.
Yep, I know. She get it from her mama.
I agree. She is funny. She's fun to listen to.
She's funny. And
No.
I hope you take the same attitude I do, Danielle. I don't care if someone's laughing with me or at me, as long as they're laughing, because I can
Yep.
make fun of myself.
Yep,
But-
I'm put on this earth to make people smile. Like you said,
I
either
love
at
that.
me or with
Yep.
me.
And that is certainly something, that is a credo that I have in life, which is if you have the opportunity to make anybody's life even slightly better, you have an obligation to do so. And that is kind of what Raised in Wisco is about. We talk to you about the opportunities in Wisconsin to get outdoors, to harvest your own food, to bring it to the table. Every week we've got a fantastic recipe, and I can't wait to share the recipe with the folks this week. It's fantastic. Ellie Mae Smoller, who is sitting in the guest host, co-host spot today, we have really started to talk together about food. You are, I feel like, almost as much of a foodie as me. I know Danielle loves
I
food,
believe
and
that.
she cooks as well.
I'm pretty obsessed with food. I
Yes,
don't know how else to say it.
I'm obsessed with food too, but you've started to get creative with wild game as well, and you come up with some crazy stuff that I'd never even think of.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the whole fun of it. You know, I look at recipe books all the time, look online for recipe inspiration, and I'm all about jamming a whole bunch of recipes together. I measure with my heart. I swap out proteins. I think it's the fun part of cooking, just experimenting, kind of like a scientist in a kitchen.
See, when you talk like that stresses me out so bad. If I
It's
do
so
not
fun.
have the ingredients in my cabinet or my fridge, I'm texting my neighbors. I'm texting somebody. I'm going to the store. I'm like, I need heavy cream. I don't know what to do. What do I do if I don't have heavy cream?
Improvise.
I have to make a whole new recipe now. Cooking stresses me out, so I have to say thank you to you, Ellie, and to you, Joel, for both feeding me really good food. I'm definitely getting the
only
benefits of this.
Well, let me tell you something, Danielle. Cooking stresses everybody out to a certain degree, and that is part of kind of what the joy of overcoming it is. Anything in life, anything good in life is not gained without a little bit of stress, right? That's a fact. And uncomfortability. You know, you are going to South Africa for the first time in your life. You're going out of the country to go on a hunting trip. You're going to be nervous. You're not going to
Yep.
know the culture. You're going to
Yep.
worry about the things you say and the things you do and how you act and how you
and what you're going
represent
to eat.
No, I'm not
Danielle
worried about
Fairman.
that.
No, don't worry about that. The food's amazing. Johnny Fetting Safaris is unbelievable. You're gonna worry about how you represent yourself, how you represent
Yep.
Raised in Wisco, how you represent,
Absolutely.
the United States of America. And part of cooking, and I don't want to over exaggerate this, but cooking is very similar to accomplishing just about anything in life. So I want to challenge you, because I will do this. I will get the protein out first. I will thaw the goose breast, the duck breast, the venison, the sika deer, the alligator. And then I will try to make something with what I have in the house.
Ooh.
So don't pull the recipe up first. Pull out the meat, thaw the meat, because then you're on a time clock. Once you have that meat thawed, you've only got a few days either in the fridge or that day to make it. See what you've got and start thinking to yourself, what flavors of what do I eat that I like that might be good using this protein in it? Instead of
Cumin.
saying
I love
yourself,
Cumin. So you want to make some tacos.
Okay.
Yum.
Well, you're quite a human being. So
Oh,
Is that the dad joke?
the count was low. I think the dad jokes have officially started.
That was a good one.
That was cute.
Thank you.
I think it's the
well-
hat.
Yeah. You know, cumin is often used in Mexican food, and it is sometimes used in Spanish food. I am in Spain, coming to you from Spain. Danielle Fairman is in the studio with Ellie Smoller, and what a blast we have. And we really appreciate taking you folks as listeners along on the ride with us. Jess, I have to say, is running the ship back there. And I know that kind of some of her first experiences, not her very first, but have been with eating some of the wild game that we have brought in. And I think, Jess, I'd like to poke you, and I'd like to ask you, how has your experience been so far? And has it made you more likely to eat wild game or less likely?
Oh, certainly more likely. Especially, I mean, if you're bringing me food, oh man, just do that every time.
Well, that's awesome. That makes me very happy, because I think we should really try to start bringing food in every week. I think we should have something to talk about. We do talk about recipes every single week. We still got our weekly Wisco to go, and I have a really great one. Go ahead.
I'm going to start something new when I cook. WWJKD. I'll tell you what it is when we come back.
WWJTV. This is Raised in Wisco. Recipes, Wisco Week. New hunters, new food.
Where'd you go, mountain girl? Did you roll off to the Cap Rock City? If Idaho Falls can't hold you, I don't know what would. But we'll see it down below.
Buenas noches a todos. Las personas. This is Raised in Wisco, Spain edition. I'm your host, Joel Clayfish. My co-host, Danielle Fairman, is back in the studio. I am live in Vinaros, Spain, just on the coast from Barcelona. We're out here. We're going to be hunting Besetti ibex in about 3 or 4 days. I'm extremely excited about that in the mountains. This is one of those events that I will either make it through and it will be one of the greatest experiences of my life, or I will die trying, because we're going to be up at about 5,000 to 7,000 to 8,000 feet above sea level.
Ooh.
And the air gets a little thin up there. My knees get a little weak. My hips hurt. Arthritis sets in, and it's tough to breathe. Anything else?
You make it sound so lovely.
My mother.
And you haven't slept.
How's it going? Well, I got this ache over here. I haven't slept. I'm jet lagged. Is it obvious, you guys, that I'm jet lagged?
No,
You're
and
hiding it
Aside
well.
from, the
The
jet
hat?
lag.
Are you going to go back to the hat, Jen?
See, we like this
I
hat
like
now.
this hat. Yeah, we all agree we like
So
this
is
hat.
for
really
ev-
matches your outfit.
For
Yes.
everybody listening, please go to Facebook or on YouTube, and you can watch what we're watching. Joel is live in Spain, but we have a hat chronologue.
We have a hat outfit
What is
change.
it? What's that word I'm talking about? Chronologue? I don't know.
Maybe that's
Maybe.
We have a progression of hats.
Yeah, we have every segment we're on, Joel puts on a new hat. And this is actually really entertaining for us because it is different types of hats.
Danielle and I are
see.
bummed out we did not bring hat changes.
I know. We need outfit changes.
We talked about
Well-
changing our flannels.
So the first
Are you
hat was
wearing
in.
flannels? Oh, yeah, you are.
We
Yeah.
both have
Fine.
flannels on.
Now that is very Wisconsin.
It is
Yes,
very
it is.
Wisconsin.
You know, I love when we talk about, submersing ourselves in different cultures. And that happens even in Wisconsin as you go from place to place. The south side of Milwaukee is very different than Superior, very different than Minocqua, Door County, Racine area. And
You betcha.
one of the things that's really cool that I love to do when I go to another country is honor their traditions. I like to wear the type of hunting clothing that they're wearing. I actually brought my lederhosen, and I have my European hunting hats. But I also, one of the cool things to do is to bring hats or clothing that is very specifically American, because I like, some people are like, oh, they're going to know you're an American. And I couldn't be more proud of that.
Yeah,
to be honest.
you
I think that's
welcome.
pretty great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's pretty great too. So I like to wear my hats, from the Foul Life or my Raised in Wisco hat that I have. I will wear those so people will ask about them. Now, I have to tell you, I'm in Vinaros, Spain. It's not in Barcelona. It is very it's small by standards of Barcelona and Madrid. It's only got about 50,000 people in this city, but there's also tourists. But the tourists here are from Europe. The vast majority of them are from other parts of Spain and Europe. This is kind of like maybe like a Wisconsin Dells place in Wisconsin. So there's a lot of Wisconsinites and Illinoisans. So there's Portuguese and Spanish here, but they do not speak English here. Like people do not speak English here. And it is helping me realize how absolutely horrible my Spanish is that I thought was so great.
I thought it
First
was
of
great
all,
too.
Well, thank you. Yes, but
Mine's
I
pretty
can
bad, though.
assure you, it is not great, because what I ordered today at the restaurant, I thought I was ordering like fried cuttlefish, and it ended up being like goose liver pate. And it came to the table,
What
and
in
I
the
looked
world?
at it, and my friend Jonathan, who's his first time in Europe, he's not used to the tininess of everything and the little tucked in corners and the regional food, which I'll be honest, if you're not used to that, it takes a little getting used to. It really does. I love all food. Food is my favorite dish, so I did not have a problem with it at all. But, poor John comes along, and then I order something that I think we're both going to like, and it ends up being something that is completely wrong. And I'm thinking my Spanish is horrible. And I can't tell you how many times I've said to people in the last 24 hours, habla inglés? ¿Usted habla inglés, usted? And then they shake their head, no, they don't. And I think, oh no, here we go. The guessing game starts. And I think that's what happened, because I went to a hunting store in Spain, in Vinaros, Spain, and literally ended up leaving with a shirt that didn't fit in two hats.
Oh,
and one of them's ugly.
Sounds like a fun Jolie. It's adorable.
It's just, I can't. And the funny thing is, you think to yourself, do they, oh, he was trying to just get you to buy things. That is not the attitude in Europe. It's very casual, very slow paced. Everything is relaxing. They have 3-hour breaks at lunch. You go to a store when it's supposed to be open between 11 and 3. There's a very large chance the doors will not even be open.
That sounds lovely.
Yes, it does.
The median income is like $30,000 a year, which translates to about 25,000 euros a year. And they enjoy life. They focus on the enjoyment of life. Sure, they do their jobs, but you go, I had the most unbelievable cafe con leche. So it's basically a latte, right? It was the most delicious, unbelievable latte I think I've ever had. And it was €1.50. And that would have been a $10, $7, $8 drink at Starbucks.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, easily.
And they will
So at
go
least
to a
you ordered the
restaurant.
right coffee drink. That would have been horrible. Priorities.
Coffee drink. I was excited about that. And man, it's just incredible. You go into a store and they just let you look forever. You go into a restaurant, they sit forever. You have to ask for the check or they will not bring it, because they expect you to just sit and enjoy and sip your coffee and have another coffee and then maybe order. I mean, a lot of them will have a beer or a glass of wine at lunch. I mean, it's just, the culture is just so filled with enjoyment and joy. I think if there's one thing we could bring back to the United States, that's a little bit of enjoying life, stopping to smell the roses, calming down, staying off of our phones. You look around a cafe in Spain, nobody's on their phone, and they're
That's
just
incredible.
enjoying life. I'm sitting here ticking away, looking at emails every 10 minutes, and they're relaxing, and they kind of look at you like, wow, too bad you can't enjoy life the way I
Yeah.
do. So that is something that I definitely try to do. And when I was at the store trying on the European hunting hats, and I got it, it's so funny. I said, I really like this shirt. And the guy says, he says something to me in Spanish, which probably meant, we have it in different sizes. That's what I think it meant. And he's looking at me, and I said, XL. And he shakes his finger at me. No. I said, no, XL. Mira, aquí, look. I'm saying, look at my tag on my shirt. XL. No. He breaks out a shirt. That's a 3XL.
Oh, no.
And I put the thing on. My man boobs are sticking out.
Oh my goodness. So you have a nightgown.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm thinking to myself, well, sizing here is sure embarrassing, isn't it?
Oh, my goodness. I
Yes,
would have
I'll
been
take
mortified. I'm like, no,
4X,
I'm out.
please.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
But that's even true here. Everywhere you go is completely different sizes. I'm a size 4 in some pants and size 12 in others. I'm like, well, this is fun. I like this. This is a fun guessing game.
I
So,
think
Joel-
when they're assigning sizes, they just pull numbers out of a hat.
Yep, I think so too.
Yeah.
There's nothing true to size. Nope, no thank you.
Joel,
Well,
at that
I can
point,
tell
is that
you-
when you panic bought the ugly hat?
Well, that's when I was like, I'll take the hat and the shirt that doesn't fit. I'll take them all. Oh my gosh. But I left and I thought, well, I can put the shirt on under a vest. I love wearing vests, right? Vests are trimming. I love they keep you warm, but you can still flex your arms. They're great
But
for hunting and doing stuff.
T-shirts do not go underneath vests. Do you think
No,
they do?
Well,
No.
long
Okay.
sleeve
Certainly
shirts
not.
do, like
A long
hunting
sleeve,
Long
yes,
sleeves,
that's-
certainly.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that is a pet peeve of mine. Wearing a short sleeve shirt with a vest, I just think
Yep.
it looks goofy.
Yeah.
Same.
Don't
This
do
is your
that.
fashion notice from Race and Wisco. Please do not do that.
I won't do that. In fact, we gotta get to our weekly Wisco. I'll go off the top of the bat here and say my weekly Wisco actually was the one day that I was back between Texas and Wisconsin. I took Jessica Thielen turkey hunting. We were turkey hunting together, and out from behind us came this one turkey, poked his head out, and I talked about it this week. But the reason I wanted to bring it back up again is because Jessica had never hunted anything before in her life. And she purchased a shotgun for herself, and
Awesome.
we breasted out the bird, and she's literally sending me back and forth potential recipes, and she's all excited about cooking this bird. And to have somebody who is so sold on it so quickly, there is really nothing more exciting to me. And that's why on Raised in Wisco, we want to share with you what it's like to get in the outdoors and to experience the outdoors and bringing it to the table. And I had this incredible week of hooking 2 brand new hunters. I took my new son-in-law, Gabe Hannah, my daughter Ella Rose's husband, out in Texas, and he shot his first big game animal of his life. 1 pop, 1 flop, perfect shot, beautiful shot,
Wow.
120 yards. He thread the needle through a bunch of thornbuck, and he was so excited. He was absolutely hooked. He is hooked for life.
Yeah.
He loves it. He lives in Texas, and that was just incredible. And I cannot wait to tell you guys about what we ended up making with the deer that we harvested in Texas. That was phenomenal too. So that was my weekly Wisco. It's kind of a combination of Wisconsin, Texas, but getting 2 new hunters hooked, I don't know that it gets better than that.
Oh, it definitely does not get it better than that. My weekly Wisco is not as exciting as that because my weekly Wisco was a solo Wisco, which is good within itself.
That
not
is
going
good,
to
though,
lie.
Danielle.
Yeah, don't understand it, Danielle, because some of the stuff that you have the guts to go do yourself blows my mind.
So this year, as everybody knows, I have a new boyfriend, Josh Belsky.
No, really?
We love Josh.
No.
We love
His name's
Josh.
Oh, God, I can't even Really?
I thought it was Jack.
Jack, it was one of the J's. I don't know.
No, you didn't.
The dude with the face. But
Very
one
nice
thing,
guy, by the way.
Thank
Super
you.
nice.
One great thing about him is that he definitely encourages me to go out there and just to do it, because not going to lie, I have hunted for about a dozen years now, but it was always majority of the time with somebody. And I am trying this year a lot of solo things, to learning that the things that I have done, that I do understand and know what's going on and how to reposition and what to look for. So this year is my first year solo hunting, deer hunting, I'm going to say.
It's awesome, Danielle.
Setting up my own tree stands,
Awesome.
cameras, food plots, like doing the whole dang thing all by myself.
Solo's good
And
for the
YouTube.
soul.
And YouTube, not
Yeah.
going to lie. and
It's a great resource.
it's been wonderful. I saw a couple doe. There's a couple bucks on camera, so I'm hoping with the rut coming up that I will be able to harvest my first official buck. And I say official because the buck that I shot last time I made into earrings. That's how big the antlers were.
That's called utilizing every part of the animal.
I definitely utilized every part of
It's
the
still beautiful.
Yep. But that is my weekly Wisco, is that it is now pre-rut, so I'm going to be out there deer hunting for the next couple times. So if my weekly Wisco next week is just as, uneventful but good eventful, I'm not going to be ashamed, because maybe next week I'll get that buck.
Maybe
The
you will.
red- the
I
red-
think you're gonna actually. You're gonna do it.
New moon is starting on Monday, and we have the red moon coming up, so I'm hoping that's going to be good. But when we come back, we'll talk with Ellie about her weekly Wisco.
Oh yeah.
And
And
the
recipes.
recipe.
Don't forget.
Recipes.
It's going to be awesome. This is Raised in Wisco. We love having you along. Hola, todas las personas a el radio.
That's all I can do. That's pretty
Senor-
good, Danielle. Wow. You can really roll it.
I'm with Senorita Danielle and Senor
Hola.
Ellie.
Ellie.
I
don't like that.
Ellie. Well, that's how you pronounce it in Spanish, Ellie. Ellie would be
Gracias.
Ellie. Gracias. Gracias.
Gracias.
Gracias.
In Barcelona, Spain, España. I'm coming to you live from Venaros, Spain, and Danielle is in the studio. This is Raised in Wisco. Folks, don't forget to vote. It's coming up real quick here, and the people you vote for affect your daily life, whether you realize it or not. It's an important decision, and make sure your voice is heard. Get out there and vote. Raised in Wisco is one of those shows that helps you, we hope, to enjoy the outdoors and to make Wisconsin a priority for you in your outdoor activities, in your eating habits, and your culinary delights. Which brings me to this week's recipe. Ready? This one
ready.
is so easy, and it goes along with not always having what you want for. Yes,
Danielle has her hand up.
I'm raising my hand.
Danielle.
Before
Are you raising your hand in Wisco?
and Raised in Wisco, I am
Raised
raising
in
my
Wisco.
WWJKD. This is why he is bringing it up during the food part of our segment, the recipe part, WWJKD, because both of you understand food and what you like, and how Joel was telling us to just go with it. You know what you like, just do it. You know what you're doing. WWJKD. JKD. What would Joel Clayfish do?
We're gonna make bracelets.
Yep. I feel
No,
like when I'm in
please.
the kitchen,
Make
what would
spice
Joel
shakers.
Clayfish do?
Look,
Yeah, spice shakers.
I
Yeah.
am honored and thrilled by the acronym and you saying what would Joel Clayfish do in that situation. But be careful, because Joel Clayfish is very famous for some very bad decisions. As well. And it's also like the what would Jesus do? And God only knows I should not be compared to the man who walks on water. That is for sure. But if you
In the
wanna
kitchen,
think
though,
of
it's
what
fine.
we would do in the kitchen. That is an awesome analogy. I love it, Danielle. Thank you so much. This recipe this week goes kind of along with what we were talking about, not always having what you want to have for the recipe and kind of making it out of what you need. So I had a tenderloin backstrap, a venison backstrap, and I thought, what can I make that's different? And I was just like, man, I really could go for spinach pie. If you've ever had that tough
Oh,
Spinach
yeah,
pie?
that's good.
yeah, spinach pie. And I thought, wait a minute, that's essentially beef Wellington, right?
Mm.
So I kind of just made it up, and I braised the backstrap. Well, first of all, I diced onions and mushrooms, and I didn't have hammer bacon, which is supposed to go in there too. But I just had I diced onions and mushrooms, and I put them into some boiling butter and sizzled them, and then I moved them to the side when they were getting limp, not when they're getting soggy, when they're getting limp, before they're soggy. And I braised that tenderloin in the stock, the juice that was created from the onions and mushrooms and butter. I braised it for 3 minutes on each side, and I couldn't find, they didn't have phyllo dough at the little grocery store where I was. So I bought the sheets of that light paper that they use to make the, not spinach pie, but they make the Greek desserts out of it.
Baklava.
And the baklava, they make baklava out of it, and they're sheets, and I don't know the exact name of them, but they're kind of like phyllo dough, but they're baking sheets, like phyllo dough. They're in the same section, and use them to make baklava. If you guys remember what that's called,
I
tell the
forget what it's
listeners,
called.
because I forgot what it was called, but I put 3 sheets that down. I put the back strap in the middle, seared, and I drizzled the sauteed onions and mushrooms over it. Then I put 3 sheets again on top of it, and then I wet my fingers and folded it into the side. I egg washed it and baked it at 400. It took literally start to finish 30 minutes. Sliced it open. It was perfect medium rare in the middle with the juice coming out of it with the sauteed onions.
Sounds
and then I
delicious.
did add some provider seasoning, add whatever seasoning you want. But it was, I had never thought to myself, make a beef Wellington out of a deer tenderloin. And I didn't have the exact phyllo dough. So I bought those sheets of phyllo dough type dough they sell in the frozen section. And it worked perfectly. It was absolutely to die for. We're going to have the recipe and video on the Provider Instagram. So check out the Provider Instagram. You'll be able to see it. And it turned out just unbelievably amazing.
That does sound absolutely delicious.
Sounds
That
amazing.
was my recipe for the week.
I'm super hungry right now.
That does sound very good. I made coffee chocolate cake this weekend.
Oh,
So
Ooh, that sounds
sounds
really good.
good.
Too.
yeah, it was actually delicious.
It sounds delicious. And I will tell you that when you are in Spain, as I am right now, I'm so excited. Technology and producer Jess has been able to figure out how to get us to be able to come to you live from Spain. If you go anywhere in the state of Wisconsin, in another of the United States, in a foreign country, make sure the desserts are part of what you try, because the desserts are so different from area to area. And if you don't know the language, try to order something, because even though I ordered something today and it came back completely different, it was still fantastic. Danielle, what do you got planned for this next week in the outdoors?
This next week in the outdoors, I am headed up north over by Kendall to go deer hunting. So I'm hoping that
You're gonna get your solo buck.
I'm going to get my solo buck. That
Let
is
me
going to
just
be a
tell you-
goal. Putting it out in the universe. Come to me, universe.
I hope it works, because I have yet to harvest a buck with my vertical bow. So how about that, Danielle? Danielle, I have not killed a buck with my vertical bow, and that is something that I would certainly love to do one of these days. I consider myself a diehard hunter, maybe not the best hunter. I love taking new hunters, but I've never killed a buck with my vertical bow. Have you, Ellie?
Yes, sir. A small buck.
A buck's a buck.
I made a promise to myself that I can't buy a new bow until I get a big buck with it.
Oh, well, everybody has their personal things, and to me, everything that's harvested is a trophy. And remember
delicious.
this, no matter how long you put those horns in the crock pot, they never get tender enough to eat. And that's
But you
why
can make earrings with them.
you can make earrings with them. But if I can give one last shout out right here at the end, it's that don't shame people for what they're proud of harvesting. Deer hunting season's in full swing. The rut's in full swing. Enjoy yourself in the Wisconsin outdoors or wherever you may be. I'm in Spain. Going to have stories to tell you next week about Bassetti ibex. And it's gun deer season coming up. We love you coming back on Raised in Wisco.